Something you don't ever want to see is smoke bellowing out of your dash. Whether you turn on an accessory or a turn signal. Today on Tech Garage, we're going to tackle electrical gremlins, so this will never happen to you. Welcome to Tech Garage presented by Advanced Auto Parts. Today it's all about those electrical gremlins that quite frankly can be pretty scary. But no worries, by the end of this show we're going to have you so confident you can get back out to the garage and tackle any of your electrical problems. We're going to start out with the basics. We're going to use this DVOM, digital volt ohm meter. You'll be proficient at it. This is a tool that's going to make it real helpful when you get out there and check your problems. Then we got a couple problems on our truck. The first one you saw was related to the blower motor. All that smoke, we turned the blower motor off and the smoke went away. So we know it's in the AC blower motor system somewhere. We'll take a look at that. Then we're going to tackle some window problems. The passenger window doesn't work at all. Now, we don't know. It could be a regulator, it might be a motor, it could be the circuit itself. So we're going to use some strategy-based diagnosis, and we're going to teach you how to do that. Last but not least, we got a headlight out. Pretty simple diagnosis, but we're also going to replace it with these spider headlights, which are phenomenal. We got a little hazing. That'll take care of that as well.
And we'll do the tail lights too. This will be a highly enabling show. And you know, you can make a pretty strong argument that of all the fancy tools you have, this might be the most powerful one that can save you the most money over the life of owning vehicles. So we're going to walk through that as you mentioned. You know, it's really interesting. A lot of people get intimidated quickly when it's time to sell a vehicle or even buy a used vehicle if there's some electrical issue, because you're never really sure, at least until after today's show, whether it's part of a greater electrical problem or if it's an individual component failure. But we're going to show you exactly what you need to do to diagnose it properly, and you can save a lot of money.
Yeah, that's for sure. Keep you from trading it in. You may want to just extend the life of the car. It's intimidating, but when we get done, it'll be a piece of cake. You know, you get started with that meter, but we need to understand the basics about a blower motor. So we'll look at the trainer next.
I'm going to jump in.
Before we jump into our blower motor problem, let's review the basics: voltage, ohms, and amperage. And we can do it right here with our blower motor demonstrator. Now voltage, remember pressure, electromotive force. Really, we can measure voltage, and it's pretty simple. You just come over to your digital voltmeter and you switch it over here to volts with the solid line and the dotted line. That's DC. The wavy line is AC voltage. So we're going to measure DC, and what we're going to do is we're going to come up and I'll demonstrate how a blower motor works as we do this. Now, a blower motor, you turn it on, it's going to go to low, medium, and high. So what happens, it goes through a series of resistors over here that's going to step the voltage down, and then the blower motor is going to turn slower or faster depending on the voltage. And I'll show you it in action. If I turn it on and I put it on low and we go across the voltage that's going to the blower motor, you can see about 3 volts, 3.5 volts going to it. Now, if I hold the leads there and I come speed it up, you can see 5 volts, 7 volts, and 10 volts on high. So you're measuring voltage going to the blower motor. You can measure voltage of all kinds of components. Now the next one is ohms of resistance, the omega sign, okay? Ohms of resistance, you just can do it right across a component. There's a wire windings in here. I go from one side to the other side of these wire windings of this injector, and it'll have a value. This one's showing about 12 ohms of resistance. Now, everything's going to vary a bit depending upon your service manual, but if it has a good ohm value, at least we know the component's in good shape. Now, last but not least is amperage. Amperage is electron flow, the current running through the circuit. In order to do that, you have to shunt your meter. So I'm going to take the meter and I'm going to move it over here to the amp spot because it's internally protecting the meter. I come over, once again, we're dealing with AC. Now, to measure amperage, you have to become part of the circuit. So we're going to have to open up the circuit here. I'm going to take the lead off that you saw before, pop that off, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that on one lead, and I'm going to go down to the other one. And when I turn it on, the current or amperage is going to run through the meter, and we're going to measure it. And you can see on high, we're producing about 9 amps of electricity. Obviously, if I drop it down, it's going to draw less. That's how a blower motor works. Now, let's shift our attention to what's going on under the dash. Brian has a blower motor up under there that's located here. Now, he can have a clip type, or you may just have some screws there, but you're going to have to get up into your dash and find it. Sometimes they're a difficult job. And just pull it out, and there's your blower motor sitting in your case. Well, it's blowing the air over the evaporator or the heater core, causing the air conditioner heat to happen. Now, you may run into a blower motor that actually uses pulse width modulation. Now, that pulse width modulation, instead of that one dropping the voltage, it's just turning it off and on. It may turn it on 25% of the time. That's low. It may turn it on 50% of the time. That's medium, and it may be on all the time, which is high. But you're just going to get a pulse in 12 volts. So what he's going to do is he's going to go under there and find this purple wire going to the blower motor. This is the blower motor, and this is the actual control module, the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning control module. Now, what's happening is the driver's giving this control module inputs, and it's sending voltage over to this blower motor. So if Brian goes under there and finds a purple wire and a black wire, switches it on, and we have voltage, we know his blower motor's the problem. If he doesn't have voltage, well, strategy-based diagnosis. Just back on up, check it at the module. If it's coming out of the module and it's not getting to the blower motor, he knows he has an open wire right here. If it's not coming out of the module, that means we have to go over to the other side and find out why it's not getting the inputs. Brian's tackling the electrical problem on our pickup truck. We'll see what he found out as soon as we return with more Tech Garage.